in the fading light of a forgotten world. Long before nations rose and empires clashed, an invisible force shaped the destiny of humanity, powerfully and almost mysteriously. It wasn't an army. It wasn't a king. It was something far more subtle and far more dangerous. It was the birth of organized finance. Long before modern city skylines, before Wall Street tickers and digital payments, ancient civilizations whispered the first secrets of an economia system that determined who thrived, who starved, and who ruled. But behind their temples, marketplaces, and monumental architecture lay a hidden mechanism, a secret economy that few understood, yet everyone depended on. At the heart of this hidden world was a simple idea: trust. The ability to trust that grain stored today would be returned tomorrow, that labor given in the morning would be repaid at harvest, that value could exist even when nothing physical changed hands. This was the beginning of banking. Our story begins in ancient Mesopotamia, around 3000 BCE, where the world's earliest known cities formed like islands of ambition between the rivers Tigris and Euphrates. People often imagine these civilizations as primitive, but in reality, they were astonishingly sophisticated, and their sophistication grew from a single problem: how does a society manage its wealth when wealth itself keeps changing form? Farmers harvested grain only once a year. Traders carried goods across dangerous deserts. Artisans worked for months before receiving payment. The question became unavoidable: how do you store value? How do you transfer it? How do you protect it? And from this question emerged a place most people never expected: the temples. They weren't just holy spaces. They were vaults, warehouses, administrative hubs, and soon they became something even more extraordinary: the first protobank. People brought their grain to the temples, not only for blessings, but for safe storage. The priests recorded every deposit on clay tablets. A family could store 3 jars of barley, withdraw 1 when needed, and trust that the temple protected by gods, guards, and reputation would return it. Soon, something strange and revolutionary began to happen. People realized they didn't need to physically take the grain with them. The clay tablet itself became valuable: a promise, a contract, a transferable claim. In the shadow of those ancient ziggurats, an idea was born that would one day dominate every economy on earth. Money could exist without the object itself. As Mesopotamia thrived, the temples grew in power. They didn't just store grain, they lent it out. Farmers borrowed barley for planting. Merchants borrowed silver for trade. And in return they paid something no civilization had officially demanded before: interest. This was the moment when humanity crossed a threshold. For the first time in history, money could grow, wealth could multiply, debt could bind people together or tear them apart. But this new system came with consequences. With every loan the temples issued, they became wealthier and more politically powerful. The rulers depended on them. The traders relied on them. The people feared them. And in this rising imbalance, a deeper mystery began to unfold: the discovery that economies can be controlled not by force, but by information. Those who held the records held the power. Across the deserts of Egypt, a similar secret economy emerged. While the pyramids rose from the sands, a quieter revolution took place in their shadow. The scribes of the pharaohs managed massive grain reserves, issuing receipts that worked like currency. Workers were paid in rations documented on papyrus. Taxes were collected in kind, stored in state granaries, and redistributed with meticulous calculation. For the first time, a government wasn't just ruling people. It was managing an economy. But the story doesn't end here. Because while civilizations built wealth, they also built something darker: inequality, dependence, and economic manipulation. When harvests failed, debt soared. When rulers overextended, inflation surged. When the wealthy hoarded grain, famine spread. And somewhere in this tension, a new kind of institution emerged, one destined to forever change the course of history. In the bustling streets of Babylon around 2000 BCE, merchants began bypassing the temple system. They created private lending houses, run by powerful families like the Agibi and the Murashu. These were no longer priests managing sacred stores. These were businessmen calculating, strategic, and ambitious. They issued loans, stored valuables, transferred funds between cities, and even created early forms of checks. It was the first sign that banking was escaping religious control and becoming its own force. But the true climax of this hidden economic story unfolds centuries later in an unexpected place, ancient Lydia, in modern-day Turkey, around 600 BCE. A revolutionary idea was structuraliento metal. Gold and silver coins, stamped with a royal seal, became standardized currency. For the first time, value was no longer grain stored in a temple or promises written on clay tablets. It was portable, trustworthy, and universal. And this portable wealth created a new phenomenon. Markets. Trade expanded, travel increased, ambition grew. But with ambition came chaos. Merchants needed a safe place to store coins. Armies needed funding. Governments needed credit. And as cities grew, so did economic complexity. Out of necessity, the world's first true banks emerged, institutions that accepted deposits, issued loans, facilitated trade, and recorded every transaction meticulously. This was the moment humanity entered the age of financial systems. But like every powerful creation, it carried a shadow. Where money flows, corruption follows. Where credit grows, crises wait patiently. Where records are kept, records can be altered. Empires rose on the strength of these early banks, and some fell because of them. Ancient Rome, as financial system fueled conquest, but also spiraled into collapse under the weight of debt and inflation. Economies boomed, then crashed. Wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, leaving ordinary citizens vulnerable. And yet, through every rise and fall, every mystery and miracle, one truth remained. Banking changed everything. It changed how humans trusted one another. It changed how civilizations organized themselves. It changed how power was acquired, distributed, and lost. Today, when we swipe a card or transfer money through a phone, we are participating in a system thousands of years old, built on clay tablets, guarded by temple priests, and refined by ancient kings and merchants who could never have imagined the world their ideas would create. The secret economy of ancient civilizations didn't disappear. It evolved, it adapted, it became the backbone of modern life. And behind every financial crisis, every economic boom, every innovation and collapse, echoes the same ancient truth. Money is not just a tool, it is a story written by humanity, shaped by trust, and powered by the invisible forces that once moved empires. The first bank didn't just store grain or lend silver, it changed the world. And its legacy still controls the rhythm of our lives today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, be sure to subscribe for more hidden histories.